That's right, gang. Thank you very much for joining me in this video. Okay, so basically I'm going to smash through my full summer breakdown, exactly what I'm going to be doing over, say, the next 9 weeks before my first holiday of the summer. I've also got a photo shoot coming up in 9 weeks as well, so an awful lot happening in that week. So basically I'm going to give you a breakdown. Obviously I've got 2 marathons coming up within the next 4 weeks. I've got Manchester and Leeds to get done, so I'm going to explain a little bit about that in terms of like the nutrition, everything going on, and ultimately how you can get a great result in a very short amount of time, which is what I'm leaning on, both aesthetically and performance wise. Okay, so follow this and basically you're going to 10x your results. You're going to get an incredible transformation. You're going to do very, very well. We're going to be covering training, diet, lifestyle factors, supplement use, literally everything that you need to get an amazing result. Okay, so very much high performance based. We're looking at training, recovery, nutrition, biofeedback, all accounted for. Okay, so this is very much get stuck in, getting a great result, and ultimately, again, like I always say, if I'm able to do this, then you can as well. Okay, so this is where we're at. Obviously, not terrible, but not great. Want to be a little bit further along, so sitting around 13 to 15% body fat. I've got 2 marathons in less than 4 weeks, as I've said. So my metrics at the moment are performance-based and aesthetic. So obviously I want to improve the look while still being able to smash out sub-4 marathons, which is, being honest, a pretty hard task to do. But like I say, if I can do it, then you can. So want to be further along, and this is exactly how I'm going to do it. Okay, so these are the metrics. Now, around the marathons, there will be some carb loading. That is separate to this. I'm obviously not going to be eating only 2,000 calories when I've got 4 hours of running to do. Okay, so with that being said, these are primarily the metrics that are used aside from the 2 event days. So essentially the night before the event day, the day and the day of the event, okay, where we're loading the carbs, and then obviously we burn through a shit ton of carbs, glycogen, calories, losing probably 2 pounds of weight easily just in body fat before we then carb up again, to kind of make that up a little bit, okay, just to make sure recovery is on point. And we're going to be deep diving on recovery, we're going to be deep diving on lifestyle factors. There's an awful lot of stuff going into this. I put my fucking soul into this, right? Okay, so metrics. Basically, the nutrition is always going to be key, as well as training performance. Now, 180 grams of protein per day for me at the moment is non-negotiable. As a 90 kilo guy, that is, you know, that is a gram per pound of body weight, or 2 grams per kilo of body weight, essentially. Okay, so training days quite low, 2,100. Rest days slightly lower as well, because we're going to be burning, you know, at least 200 calories per weight session, as we know. Okay, 8 hours sleep per night. As I say, I'm going to deep dive into that, and there are 15,000 steps getting done per day, and that is regardless of cardio. Okay, so I would encourage you to screenshot and pause where needed. Okay, take notes, be open-minded with all this, understand that I've been in a bad position before. I've been close to 20 stone, like I've been fat as fuck. Like I know what it's like, I know the struggle, but at the same time I've turned it round to end up doing ultra marathons, photo shoots, obviously 2 marathons inside 2 weeks, which I think is pretty good. Obviously a bunch of half marathons last year and a triathlon. So if I'm able to turn it round, and you can as well, simply, and if I'm able to get stuck in and blast myself for 9 weeks doing all this kind of thing, then again, you can as well, okay, and you will get an insane result from it, I promise. So please pay attention, I promise you're going to learn things, yeah? Okay, so essentially this is the top and bottom of my week as it stands. Okay, so 2 full body workouts per week, 2 High Rocks style sessions. I'm going to be competing hopefully at High Rocks Valencia in October. I'm also on the waiting list for London in 2 categories as well in May, so that might potentially be getting thrown in the mix. Regardless, I'm staying ready in terms of my fitness, which I think High Rocks is absolute king of. You know, I'm not just hopping on the bandwagon with that, guys. It is brilliant. Okay, so we're covering 15,000 steps per day. Cardio is not included in that. Steps are not cardio, guys, okay? That is perfectly, you know, fine. If you're, you know, a bigger fella, we will just focus primarily a little bit more on steps, but again, like I'm not counting it in terms of my cardio. Okay, 105,000 steps across the week, 1,600 calories burned just purely on cardio. It is more than that, obviously, when I'm pushing the 7.5k run and full body. That is going to be a big day, okay, in terms of calories getting burned. Only 1 official rest day per week. but we are still hitting the steps. Okay, so this is purely the prep that I'm using in terms of marathons. From my own experience, from my fitness levels anyway, of completing obviously ultras and that kind of thing, I know I'm in a good spot to basically turn up for their marathons and be able to smash them out in 4 hours. I've kind of got that confidence at the moment in myself and in my fitness, which has been hard earned through doing the reps in the gym, doing the high rock sessions, doing the previous halves, everything like that. If you can run a half marathon, you can run a full one. You know, if you can run a 10k, you can run a half marathon. You can run 5k, you can run 10k. It's as simple as that. It's all up here. It's mindset, okay, which we are going to get into a little bit more. Okay, so this is where you can start screenshotting, guys. This is absolute golden here. This is literally my workouts. This is exactly what I'm doing. This is how I've managed to get into a good spot and how I'm going to be continuing to push on. It's mostly the diet that's been tweaked to put me in a harsher deficit. Okay, so I'll give you a quick second, give that a screenshot. As you can see, full body. Now, this does not include warm-up sets. I would take warm-up sets as and when I need them. So, warm-up set, basically using 50% of what you're going to use for your top set. So in my case, 2 top sets. Basically, I'm going to failure on both sets. These workouts will take around about an hour at the most. Okay, any longer than that, you're probably not going hard enough. It shouldn't be taking you a great amount of time. Okay, moving on, high rocks. I will change these week to week, depending on how I'm feeling, what I need to work on. More recently, I have been focusing a little bit more on the sled push on the prowler because I've found, in terms of doing high rock simulations, that's probably been my weakness. Wall balls as well, not included on here, but those have been a little bit weaker for me as well in the past. So again, I've been blasting them recently. But essentially, this is typically the workouts that I'll be doing. Okay. It is hard going, I'm not going to lie, it is tough. These workouts may take up to an hour and a half, but they're going to make you fit, they're going to burn a shit ton of calories. Now, obviously you will change them, depending on your fitness level. Should you need any advice, then do drop me a line on Instagram. It's Ashton Online Coaching. Okay, we give that a screenshot. We are then full body 2, okay? So, slightly different in terms of exercises. But execution, technique, tempo, it's all still very much on point, okay? Slightly different rep ranges as well, but always in that hypertrophy range from 6 to 30 reps, which is what I like. Ideally, I always find 8 to 10 a little bit more of a sweet spot for me and what I prefer, where I'll get a little bit more of my muscle connection. I'm not sort of relying on smashing heavier and heavier weights every time, okay? So, again, everything's pretty much covered across these workouts, and performance at the moment, the fitness is through the roof. So, second high rock style workout, slightly different, some different stuff in there. So Metcon is included in here, posh term for metabolic conditioning. In its dumbest form, it's basically you're doing weights and cardio at the same time. It's as simple as that. I'm just trying to be flash. But bodyweight superset, finishes, dips, chin-ups. You can use assisted if needed. This is quite difficult, especially when you've smoked yourself doing all this previous. Okay, this is where things get interesting, guys. So this is the male side of things. Now, in terms of a body transformation, you can take every supplement under the sun. You can take whatever the hell you want. But if you're not nailing your nutrition, doesn't matter what you take, and you're fucked. Simple as that. Okay, so these are the males that I've been using. Male 1, male 2. I will show you 3 and 4 in a second. Now, if I'm training fasted, so if I'm doing fasted steps on a morning, which I do, because to get 15,000 in, that's over 2 hours of walk in a day. Now, if I'm not doing any PT or anything like that, then again, I'm going to be on that treadmill. I'm going to be on the streets, get my steps in, because again, that is a lot of calories burned for very little effort. It's just the time. Now, if you know, what I will say is, to get a great result, sometimes you do have to manipulate your times. I'm going to get on to, I have been getting up at 4:30 in the morning in order to get up and out. It's as simple as that, because I'm prepared to do that, because I want to get a result. If you're not prepared to make changes like that, or say you've got childcare, that's probably the only instance where I'm going to say you haven't really got an excuse otherwise. If you're a single parent, something like that, then again, I understand that that is not possible. But as I say, if you're single, maybe living at home, only working full time, then you've got no excuse. Like, get shit done and stop being an idiot, basically. That's my advice. So, as you can see, we've got a range of things in here. There's no low carbon. There's nothing like that. I need carbs to be able to get through sessions. Meal 3 and 4. Again, we're using carbs. We get, I mean, this is basically the nicest meal going, I think, in my opinion, at the moment. The Greek yogurts with the protein, a little bit of honey in there, some peanut butter, like that is basically a cheat meal in itself, but it's fantastic, as you can see clearly on the protein side of things. 33 grams of protein, only 300 calories, absolutely brilliant. And then, as I say, as I was showing you previously, in terms of meal one, I mean, that's basically like an English breakfast with a few strawberries. Do you know what I mean? Again, this is very nice. Some steak and potato, like that is not a diet. Do you know what I mean? We don't need to be bland. We don't need to be boring. Even this here, chicken and rice. And yes, there's green beans in there, but again, strawberries, nice snack, goes with it. It's, again, doesn't feel like a diet. It's, you know, a lot of this is purely a mindset thing, but in terms of performance, getting your nutrition nailed is key. It's always going to be calories in versus calories out, we know that, but the quality of your food is so important. Like, yes, you can eat steak pies and lose fucking weight, but, like, that's not quality protein. Yeah. It's full of fat, like it's rubbish. Do you know what I mean? You can lose weight having chocolate. Do you know what I mean? But because it's calories in, calories out, we can't defeat thermodynamics. But again, we're not looking to be reliant on stuff like that. We need good quality food, especially if you want to get a great transformation. Okay, sleep, massively important. If I need to go to bed at 6:30 on a night, I will. Should I require to have a life and want to stay out till 11 o'clock, then I will do that. But non-negotiable. I will be still getting up at 4:30 in order to hit the gym. Simple as that. I've got steps to do regardless if I want to be out. I think that night I was at Lane 7 in Durham, having a good time. Great. A couple of Diet Cokes, no bother. But again, I need to be up the next day. I've got shit to do. Simple as that. It's purely just an attitude, mindset side of things. We are going to deep dive a little bit more into that. But yeah, as I say, if I need to be in bed, again, 5 to 9, it gets done. Do you know what I mean? At this moment in time, I am not slacking on any metric in terms of like sleep or anything like that. Even where I am still having a life, I am still enjoying myself. This isn't eat, sleep, gym. Like, there's a lot of that, but I am still having a life. I am in a very good spot. Physically, mentally, business-wise, everything is really, really good. But yeah, I'm showing that you are still able to have a life and do things. Okay. Now, alcohol, just knock it off. Like, don't even fucking bother. I think the next time I'll be having a drink, it'll be in Rhodes in 9 weeks' time. That is pretty much like, you know, the next time. If you want a great result, you can't drink. Like, even if a couple of drinks is going to impact that night's sleep, it's going to impact that recovery. The only time I would say to do it is maybe lunchtime. Maybe have a couple of pints once every lunchtime, once a week, something like that, if you're desperate. But don't be smashing bottles of wine. People sometimes have the argument of like, oh, well, I'll have a spirit and like a sugar-free mixer. Like, no, fuck that. Like, it's still going to impact recovery. It's still going to impact training. Don't be doing it. Like, knock it on the head. It's empty calories, and that's all I've got to say. Caffeine. Realise I've spelled caffeine wrong as well just now, but I'll knock it off by 1 p.m. Now, I absolutely love caffeine. I've already had one of these already today, and I've got a second one there. I'll probably have that after I've played tennis this morning, and then that'll be it for the day. Because we know that caffeine has a half-life of roughly 8 hours. So if I'm trying to get to bed at 9 o'clock, if I'm having having some caffeine at 2 o'clock, it's still going to be in my system at around 10 o'clock at night. Okay. Which is, again, it's not optimal for sleep. It's not going to serve us. Okay. Now, this is kind of where we get a little bit more of a deep dive, and I'll get on, on things a little bit more in terms of like mindset, that kind of thing. But I'm just going to be as transparent and open as possible, because these things do have an impact, regardless of whether we think they do or not. I'm telling you it does. So I keep off social media as much as I can. For me, Instagram is post my content, and that's it. I don't particularly bother with friends on there. It's not my channel to be doing that. And I'm very careful of the content I consume. Again, that is not me talking down anyone. It's just very much the thing of like, I watch what I'm bothering with. Do you know what I mean? Try and keep off other fitness pages, things like that. I do my thing, they do their thing. I try not to bother with the news too much, apart from, football results, transfer news, that kind of thing, cricket scores, stuff like that. But I'm very much focused on self-development, full transparency. I've been going to therapy as well for the last couple of months. That has been brilliant. The reason I've done this, the healthier your mind can be, the healthier your body's going to be, and ultimately the better you're going to perform in the gym, at life, business, whatever it might be. That is just a fact. Me doing that 90 minutes once a week, yes, another investment myself. I appreciate that. Yes, things cost money. The point I'm making, guys, is if you've got shit going on, then you need to talk to somebody. Simple as that. And for me, getting some CBT has been absolutely brilliant, and doing some EMDR work on sort of childhood trauma, that kind of thing, which isn't to talk about in this video, has been fucking brilliant, to be fair. So I'd highly recommend it. Boundaries on time management, really, really important. Get that done. Be careful who you spend your time with. Be careful how you, spend your energy, basically. Understand that there are people that you cannot bring up, but they will bring you down. So be very, very mindful of that, what you're doing, who you're knocking about with, that kind of thing, because it's going to impact you. Even if you don't think it at the time, and depending how you've got around you, there's some people you can't help. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to be very careful, be very mindful. Now, one thing that's helped me as well, in terms of like brain function day to day and being able to perform at a high level in terms of like business life, everything like that, has been contrast therapy. What I mean by that is saunas and cold plunges. There is some fantastic evidence behind that you can very easily find online in terms of the benefits we've known for years for saunas being great for the heart, being good for fitness, being good for just recovery, sleep, relaxation. Absolutely fantastic. So really get amongst that if you have access to it. I'm not saying it's the end of the world if you don't, but an hour a week in the sauna and about 10 to 12 minutes a week in a cold plunge is very, very good. And personally, anecdotally, I've noticed the evidence on myself, been able to perform better, being a little bit sharper, and just as well being in a little bit of a better mood. There's definitely some impact in terms of definitely been some impact there in terms of mood. Now, as I'm going to deep dive into a little bit more, recovery is very much the thing that I'm focusing on as well, and that's been absolutely huge. We need to be recovering properly. Now, supplementation will help in this. So I'm very basic when it comes to supplements. I use Awesome Supplements, Ben Coomber's company, fantastic, research-backed, award-winning firm, only the best. So multivitamins, their joint supplements and omega-3s are top of my list, should be top of your list. Awesome Hydrate, I use that every day. Got some in here, prefer the orange flavour, tastes like Lucozade but without all the sugar. Awesome Endure, I will use 25 grams of that. It's a carb drink essentially. I'll use that on my weights days. I will also use it if I'm training fasted as well for high rock sessions, which sometimes I do at 5 a.m. Melatonin, I'll take that an hour before bed. Helps just calm me down, helps lower sort of anxiety, that kind of thing, helps me sort of switch off, relax a little bit more. And then more the performance side of things, L-theanine, amino acid, L-carnitine, amino acid as well. Alpha-GPC, all these things have helped me with energy, cognitive function. Again, if your diet is not right, if your sleep's not right, pointless, don't waste your money on any of this, okay? Nail everything else first, guys, before you start looking at your supplementation, okay? Lifestyle factors. Now, again, this is kind of where we're getting a little bit more into the advanced side of things here, okay? But sunlight exposure, now the weather's getting warm, don't be sat in your room. Fucking get outside and stop being lazy. Aim for direct sunlight, 60 minutes a day. This is going to help you in terms of your well-being more than anything. 5 litres of water a day for the lads should be an absolute minimum. For the girls, maybe even 3 to 4 litres. But if you can get towards 5, then that's absolutely fine. But if you're on the slimmer side, I would say sub 100 kilos, then 3 to 4 is absolutely fine, okay? So, hydration, we know is key in terms of performance, in terms of how you're going to feel. Sleep, recent study has shown if we're sleeping less than 7.5 hours per night, we have a 33% higher chance of being obese / struggling to lose weight. Excuse me, okay? Be consistent as you can with your sleep. I've shown you that you can still have a life and still do pretty well, but you need to be smashing that sleep, and if you're tired, just go to bed. It's not worth staying up for that film or whatever it might be, okay? So, advanced but useful. We need to be mindful of digestion, how well you digest certain foods, if you're struggling with any sort of IBS, any bloating, anything like that. This is probably something more to talk about on another day, but this is very much something to be mindful of. I would also say be tracking your moods, be tracking your stress, be doing some journaling, seeing where you're at in terms of burnout, mental fatigue, and just in general how you're feeling in yourself, because mentally, if things are right, then you need to be addressing that. And when I say addressing that, for 99.9% of people, diet and exercise, and that's from my own experience of seeing people over the years. Or in terms of that, little bit of therapy goes a long way in talking to somebody. That is, again, what I'd be saying, which is obviously what I've done, which has been a tremendous help, okay? But burying your head in the sand is not the fucking answer. Simple as that. Also, tracking your recovery. So, smartwatches are useful. I'm just on a cheapie. You know, I don't sort of believe in the £1,000 Garmin's and everything like that. This is a couple £100 from Samsung, works absolutely fine, and has helped me a lot in terms of seeing how much sleep I'm getting. So obviously I've been able to show on here. And then as well as that, very much been the thing of able to track my calories, track my steps. Very, very useful. Means that I don't need to bother with my phone. I can literally track everything on my watch, which is a lot more useful, and again, keeps me off my phone, kind of sets some boundaries as well. Okay, so last little part. Thank you for staying with me if you have. Do a check-in. Obviously, I coach myself in terms of like clients. Obviously that's my business, that is what I do. I'm an online coach. The check-ins are so important. That is where clients get the most value from me. So that's where I'm looking over progress pictures, I'm looking over their measurements, their weigh-ins. We go and have a deep dive in terms of like mood, how the week's gone, stress levels, energy, anything that could be impacting training, impacting nutrition, impacting just general recovery, whatever needs to drive them forward physically, mentally, and get them an amazing result, okay? But if you're on your own, then you need to be tracking these things. You need to be journaling. You need to be tracking your performance in the gym. So my guys will use an app, which is absolutely fantastic, and they will log their lifts. They will have videos of the lifts, what they need to do. They've literally got everything in front of them. If you don't have that, be using a pen and paper, tracking your lifts, tracking what exercise you're doing, performance. Those things matter, okay? And every week, so for me personally, on a Sunday, I will journal this. I'll be like, what's gone well this week? What hasn't gone too well? What can I do better next week? Okay, and there'll always be something for those three things. If you can't think of three for each of them, then again, you need to be living life a little bit more, or maybe you're smashing it. Who knows? But full optimization. So this is kind of where I've really leaned in over the last sort of 6 months to a year, really been thinking about these things a little bit more, and it's been night and day. So on a personal level, over the last year, business for me has literally tripled. In terms of physique, I've probably never been in a better spot. Fitness level, absolutely off the charts. Done very, very well in terms of my half marathons, everything like that. Obviously the marathon's coming up. Done that ultra triathlon. Lots more to come as well. So again, all of this stuff matters. I've proved that it's not just me preaching from a fucking high horse or whatever the saying is, and trying to be a twat about these things. It's very much a thing of like, this stuff works, that's why I'm talking about it, this is why I coach it, this is why I've got a highly successful online coaching business, because I know what I'm doing. I'm able to talk about these things. Okay, so we need to focus on productivity. Again, this is going back to what I was saying about the journaling. We might do a little bit of breath work, meditation. That can be useful as well. For me, I've never been too big into that, but one thing that has been quite useful on a night has been listening to sometimes things like some positive affirmations. Again, I'm not too big into it, but it's nice to get relaxed and go off to sleep on something positive. It's not that I'm suddenly going to wake up and have a 7-figure coaching business or something like that. It's just more the thing of, it's positive stuff to be listening to. Sometimes it'll just be ocean sounds, things like that. But again, I can get relaxed, I can be calm, I can be in a calm state. I'm not falling asleep with the telly on or music on because that's just no good. Really not the way to go about things. So box breathing can be quite useful. So in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, things like that. That can help relax you, calm you down. There's actually a little app that you can put on your watch as well called Breathe. If you're on Samsung, you probably do it bigger and better on other devices perhaps, but this can be quite useful in terms of doing a little bit of breath work even during the day. Sometimes I'll do it in the cold plunge or the sauna and kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But be mindful of blue light, so essentially watching the telly late at night, making sure that you're getting good quality sleep. What I will also say is track your biomarkers, so especially if you're taking a few different supplements, shall we say, you need to be getting blood tested every 3 to 6 months. And if you're, thinking about doing anything else, so there's a couple of guys I work with in my program that are on TRT, I will always encourage them to be getting tested up to every 3 months, and if they ever looking to add other things in, then it might be a little bit more regularly than we do that. But that's a story for another day. But essentially, you need to know where things are at all times. Okay, part 2, we are nearly done. So what I will say, DEXA scan or some sort of body composition tool is useful. I'm not saying that all body composition tools are created equal. Depending what you pay for the scales, the more accurate they're going to be in terms of tracking you, but it's another metric to track, which is useful, as I mentioned. Things like active recovery, saunas, cold plunges, massage guns, compression boots all have the place. Mobility and stretching, all very good. What I'll say about all of these things, if you haven't gathered already, if your training and diet is not locked in, do not waste your time, your energy or your money on any of these things. It's a complete waste of time, and that is just being brutally honest. There's no shortcuts. If you cannot be asked to sort your nutrition out, to get your ass in the gym, or at least be doing some workouts at home, body weight stuff, whatever it might be, and actually just getting active, then, you know, this is all pointless, and you might as well chuck your money out the window. Simple as that. So, other little bits on here that you're probably already reading and jumping ahead to, it's all very useful. So one thing is a 5-second daily log that you can do. So literally, pen and paper, quick 5 seconds, how am I feeling, write it down. And that is useful to track, see, over the course of a week. So for me, brutally honest, I've been up since 2:30. It's not been a great night's sleep for me. I was in the gym for 5. Then I've been working all morning, delivering trainings, that kind of thing, doing some one-to-one calls with the guys inside the programme that, you know, need doing regardless of how I feel. It's as simple as that. So ultimately, we need long-term adherence, and you need to enjoy what you're doing. So at the moment, what I will say is this dieting phase that I'm in, or this cardio I'm doing, it's temporary, okay? It's not going to be forever. Like harsh dieting phases, which is essentially what I'm in at the moment, it's not going to be forever. It's going to be another 9 weeks. I do my photos, I'll look the best I ever have, smash my marathons out, enjoy my holiday. That'll be probably a maintenance phase, and then it might be an off-season gaining phase where I'm just trying to stack the size on, ready to cut down again for this time next year, potentially, depending on what's on the cards. But, guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Any questions that you have, DM me on Instagram or comment below, Ashton Online Coaching. I want to hear your goals. I want to know if this was useful. I want to know if you want to hear more about this kind of thing. Regardless, I hope it's been some help, and I will look forward to speaking to you very soon.